Well, they'll be calling you a radical. So last night was the NRC hearing on Diablo Canyon, and I was due to speak via live stream. Of course, we had technological problems. The hearing was a joke. It was a clown circus. The NRC, the nuclear hour cheerleaders, it's a clown circus. Boom. So NRC to Kevin Blanch, because I was supposed to be the first guy up. So you should see the interviews with local television down there. They got some kid down there, and he's like, well, you know, we just got to keep it so we don't import, import. You don't import any fucking. California's a giant exporter of energy. What? What? California's producing 200% solar more a day. No one addresses the fact that Diablo is spending $4.4 million just in California taxpayers' money a day to keep that piece of shit. Something you don't use. So here's what this is to you, the NRC, TikTok. So I have a sign all made up. I'll make another one. I left it there. It's down there at a friend's house in Pismo. So it basically says FUKUSHIMA. I got my Diablo Canyon thing here. Get out your medal. You know, so I've been at this for a long, long time. What do you want, a fucking medal? I got a medal. So I got my Diablo coat, shirts. I got so much Diablo Canyon shit. That's real, by the way. What do you want, a fucking medal? I got a medal. That's from when we protested down there in the late 70s and early 80s, building the piece of shit. So I want to say this. So, and they'll watch it. I mean, Kevin Blanch, the activist that wins, they all know. Like I said, the NRC, I have their ear because they know. Because of my work at Sentinel Free, Pilgrim, Oyster Creek, Indian Point, Palisades, Calhoun. Oh, by the way, the top of the towers at Calhoun, there's some Paracon falcons nesting. So here's my spew to you at Diablo, the NRC. Number one, I have not heard one single person address the fact that these reactors were never built to store nuclear waste. Now, as you know, Harry Reid, with a stroke of the pen, 10 years ago, created every single nuclear energy reactor an official nuclear waste. Now, I went at him, and I said, that's against the law. You can't do that. You're not executive. You're not legislative. You're not judicial, the NRC. The NRC just did it. Well, I had his ear, boy. So what did they do? They went to Congress, and Congress approved it. Now, remember, this is the same Congress that approved killing sea lions for eating salmon, that you save them in California, you try to rescue them as they're starving to death for leukemia. Right there at Diablo Canyon, they swim up to the mouth of the Columbia to go eat some salmon like they have for millions of years, and Oregon kills them. So they were never built. So Congress passed that they're official nuclear waste dump sites. They were never engineered. They were never built for it. There's 40 years, literally, of nuclear waste stored on site in both reactors, stacked in swimming pool on top of swimming pool on top of swimming pool. Okay? These reactors were never engineered and never designed for that. So, lessons from Fukushima unlearned. Now, we know, factually, Mach 1, Mach 2s, GE, Westinghouse, they got a little less than one now. So I thought they went bankrupt, took Toshiba down. So we know, because of what happened in Japan in the 90s, before Fukushima. Kevin Blanch, how did you predict the accident at Fukushima? It wasn't hard. It already happened before. Nothing like that. But so we know that just a 6.6 earthquake on the Richter scale in Japan knocked a bunch of spent fuel pools at the biggest reactor in the world. It's the number one. It's still off. Not Diani. They're in the top 10. So just 6.6. Now, of course, Fukushima, Japan was a 9.0. Forget about it. Just wiped it all out. Full blown out meltdown. Spent fuel just blown to shit. Zerk fires. I mean, the whole 9 yards. So, no one's addressed the fact that this repository, it's an official legal repository now. Congress made Diablo Canyon, well, all of them. Now, if you read the internet and you look around, you'll swear that there's a big renaissance in nuclear energy. Yeah, everybody loves it. No, they don't. No, they don't. I mean, just propaganda. I mean, we've shut down so many reactors worldwide. Japan, 50-something. Germany, 19. United States, St. Onofre, Duane Arnold, Calhoun, Pilgrim, Indian Point, Yankee, Oyster Creek, 3 Mile Island. I won't stop there. Palisades, you know. Boom! So my sign simply reads, and I was going to plan on having it, but, you know, I've got health issues. And I wonder why. I'm recovering from open heart surgery for the 2nd time. And, of course, I have AML leukemia fighting without a transplant, so it can come back anytime. You know, so thank you to Jane from Mothers of Peace. She's trying to do her work. Lessons from Fukushima unlearned. Now, we have nuclear reactors on the Ring of Fire. My work proves, and this is Kevin Blanch, when I was the famous professor at Weber State Nuclear University, who's been blackballed. And if you don't believe that dynamic, I want you to just Google China, Utah influence, FBI investigation. The number one school of business that I taught at for all those years, number one. I wrote paper after paper on these reactors, on the spent fuel pools, and the course. And my work shows that a spent fuel pool can't even handle a 7.4 or 3 or 5 or 6 or maybe even 2. Now, there is 40 years of spent fuel and no one's addressed this repository. There's nowhere to put it. Nobody wants it. Sneak it into WIP. Well, that's what some have been doing. They brought it to Rocky Flats here for a while. I mean, you're in Rocky Mountain High. This ain't Colorado. Boom. How come no one's addressing that? You know, you want to keep this thing open. It's costing taxpayers $4.4 million, and the new bill is going to up that to double. It's just big porky pigs. Something you do not use in California. You put some kid on the news. We don't want to import it. California is an exporter of energy, not an importer. Exporter of solar, but states like Utah and Nevada, who should be all solar, 300 sunlight days a year, 320 in Nevada, how come they capped it? People were selling it back. We have a grid. The sunlight from the central coast of California, from Los Angeles, from San Francisco can be in Times Square at the speed of light. We have the technology. It's there. This is a big porky pig. $4.4 million a day in California, which you're going to double that. You're going to go up to around $10 million with this new bill. Not to mention the federal subsidies. You know, your billions of pork just throws out. No liability. California, my suggestion to you in California, as the activist community, there isn't much, is California needs to supersede Price-Anderson. Price-Anderson is the federal act that gives these guys immunity. It's called the Immunity Act. They re-upped it while you were busy annihilating innocent women and children in Iraq in 2005 for 20 years. What does that mean? Anything nuclear reactor, pork, whatever, the liability falls on the taxpayer. You can't sue them. You need to supersede that, because when you get the earthquake there, and you're telling me that you don't get earthquakes there? Do you people know why it's called Diablo Canyon? Now, I know the Chumash, you know, that's the native tribe there. When the Spanish invaders came to do their, talk about genocide, they were standing there at one of the most beautiful bays on the face of the earth. They used to come down the coast in the canoes all the way from Alaska, Canada, all the way down, all the way up from Mexico, meet right there, Avila, at the bay. I love that pier at Pismo. I've been on every single pier. Private piers? Oh, God, what a joke. Don't even get me going on Crystal Pier in San Diego. Oh, why is it collapsed? Private? How's that private? Oh, it's private. They're driving cars on it, sinking. But anyway, one of the most beautiful bays in the face of the earth. They'd have plays. They would dance. They would do all kinds of beauty. They were apple growers. So when the Spaniards got there and told them what they're going to do, yes, an earthquake hit right there. And tsunami. Bad one. Thus, the Spaniards named it Diablo. There you go. Let's put a reactor there. Tick-tock. Ring of fire. Lessons from Fukushima unlearned. Why is no one addressing the fact that there's 40 years of nuclear waste on site in swimming pools, stacked up that these things were never engineered and never designed for? It's only a matter of time, and we're all downwinders because the jet stream moves left to right. Oh, it could be our Fukushima? No, and nobody uses the F word in the hearing, not one time. No, Fukushima is our Fukushima. You think it's coincidence those beautiful bay is wiped out? Sam out of collapse, all in acute fashion, post-Fukushima. Where's Sam Adams when you need him? Unite the clans. So, to the NRC, you cannot give this relicensing. This old, tired, beat-up piece of junk. You've got to start to figure out what you can do. Until you have an answer for the waste, and you don't. It's stored on site. So, the cores will fracture. My work shows the cores will fracture at about a 7.8%, which they did at Fukushima. The cores, it wasn't a tsunami. The cores were gone, blown to smithereens, and they didn't do anything. Obama backed out, the USS Reagan. What about that? You know, Trump doubled down on the cover-up, and they China syndromed, which I named Del Mar Argentina syndrome. But what about the spent fuel pools? The spent fuel pools, my work shows like maybe a 7.3. 4 or 5, and we're way overdue. So when it happens, this blood is not on my hands. And we're all downwinders because that one's the furthest to the left. That's why I've worked so hard. I always said San Diego would be the safest place in the world. We get sent off, we shut down, get that waste off. But what happened? The water, the sewer water down there. It's too bad because the Central Coast is like one of the most beautiful places on the face of the earth. And you're gonna lose it. You're going to lose it. It's only a matter of time. So to the NRC, and they'll get this, what about this elephant in the room? It's herd of elephants. 40 years of spent fuel on site in a facility that was never engineered, never built for spent fuel. It's only a matter of time, and you don't want to live like a Fukushima refugee. Don't want to live like a Chernobyl refugee. Don't want to live like a San Luis Obispo, Pismo, Los Angeles, nuclear energy. Shelter in place. You're going to be hearing this. We're way overdue for a big one. And they can't hang. There's no way those spent fuel pools. And if you get spent fuel fractures, the water runs out immediately. There's no way to get it back in. And they go into what we call Zerk fires. Western Draconian's right behind my house. It's Westinghouse dirt bags. Bankrupt so many times, you just bail them out. So, bank bail out on chemo, I call it. It's unbelievable. Your politicians go for this. Now, I will give it to your representative. He was interviewed, and his interview was good. He says, we understand the dynamic of Diablo here, and your money and your jobs, but come on. He says, this is nuclear. We've got to understand the dangers. Hello. I'm going to send this to him. I was impressed. He was the only thing I was impressed with. It was a panty painter joke of an event. And the NRC, just remember this on your little SMRs, the NRC. I can't believe someone has not sued you on the new scale dynamic. You approved an SMR that doesn't exist by a guy, Jose Reyes, who's the CEO, who worked at Idaho National Lab with one of your members. By the way, Trump appointed her as the chair, and you guys, the NRC, approved that. Don't you think that's a little conflict of interest? I can't believe anyone's sued you yet. Oh, well, the Sierra Club and Diablo can't. I mean, Friends of the Earth, who do you think put it there? So until I hear somebody address the waste, shut it down. Simply. Diablo Canyon on the Ring of Fire, TikTok. Lessons from Fukushima unlearned. What about the nuclear waste stored on site? No one talks about that. Something we do not use. You're endangering the entire country. You're endangering the entire country, all of us. We're all downwinders. Jet stream moves left to right. Stay tuned.